The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
As Jesus passed by, he saw a man blind from birth. He spat on the ground and made clay with the saliva and smeared the clay on his eyes and said to him, "Go wash in the pool of Siloam," which means sent. So he went and washed and came back able to see. His neighbors and those who had seen him earlier as a beggar said, "Isn't this the one who used to sit and beg?" Some said, "It is," but others said, "No, he just looks like him." He said, "I am." They brought the one who was once blind to the Pharisees. Now Jesus had made clay and opened his eyes on a Sabbath. So then the Pharisees also asked him how he was able to see. He said to them, "He put clay on my eyes, and I washed, and now I can see." So some of the Pharisees said, "This man is not from God, because he does not keep the Sabbath." But others said, "How can a sinful man do such signs?" And there was a division among them. So they said to the blind man again, "What do you have to say about him since he opened your eyes?" He said, "He is a prophet." They answered and said to him, "You were born totally in sin, and you are trying to teach us?" Then they threw him out. When Jesus heard that they had thrown him out, they found him and said, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" He answered and said, "Who is he, sir, that I may believe in him?" Jesus said to him, "You have seen him, and the one speaking with you is he." He said, "I do believe, Lord," and he worshipped him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Heaven is described as the beatific vision, where we look at God face to face and he looks at us for all eternity. Some people would think that's boring, but that's only because we haven't looked at the all-loving, all-powerful, and all-knowing God with great desire. Yes, we can be blind, and for this reason, we have to pay attention to what the Pharisees said about the blind man, that he was blind because of sin, and that's only half correct, because we know that that's not what causes blindness. There are other reasons, but even if you have 20/20 vision, but your life is filled with sin, you are not going to see life clearly. I mean, that's one reason why we judge people by how they appear. And Samuel will say to Jesse, "You are looking at the appearance. God sees the heart." That's one reason why we can't even recognize the dignity of life, even if we're looking at the face of a baby in a sonogram. And why? Because we aren't listening to what St. Paul wrote in the letter to the people in Ephesus. We are not living in the light. Sadly, we are living in the shadows, and that's why we can all pray to God that we can be delivered and see, because like the blind men in the gospel, wouldn't it be wonderful if the first face we saw when we finally opened up our eyes is the face of Jesus Christ? And I know at this point you are all wondering, who is this priest? And how much coffee did he drink this morning? So let me explain. My name is Father Leo Patalinghug, and I'm your mission preacher for for the next 2 nights, tonight and tomorrow at 6:30. And it's my job, in a sense, to help you find God, because if you don't know what God looks like in this life, then you're going to get to heaven and not even recognize who you are there to worship. Because I think that's why you have come, so that you can actually get to heaven. And I know for some of you it's a little too early for active participation, but raise your hand if that's true. How many of you even want to get to heaven? Okay, not bad, not bad. Some of you are still thinking about it. Please know that the option is real, and that is for those who choose not to see God now, and in eternity, they won't even sense God at all. That's pretty miserable. So knowing that most of you want to get to heaven, how many of you are going to become saints? Raise your hands. Okay. Awkward. I think 12 of you raised your hand. So please know that the only people who get to heaven are saints. And that is why if you raised your hand the first time, you will be back here tonight at 6:30 p.m. Because tonight at 6:30 p.m., we are going to take yourselves seriously and how you see yourself. Clearly, the devil has been lying to you the entire time. The devil says, yeah, I want to get to heaven, but you're not going to become a saint because you don't see yourself as a saint. Because unfortunately, what we see is what we imitate. And if you were just to take a real consideration of what we see on our phones, on TV, or on billboards, it ain't holy. And that's why we are going to put ourselves in the light of God and see who we really are as inheritors to his kingdom. We are called to be saints, and saints perform miracles. And that's why tonight at 6:30 p.m., I am going to stand in the light of Jesus Christ, and I am going to perform a miracle. I am going to turn everyone who comes into a saint, including your annoying children, your very loving children, which is why you must bring them. Because if we are a church that doesn't help people to see their call to holiness, then what do we become? You can see the problem. We don't see ourselves as saints. That is why you must come at 6:30. And I know you're thinking, priest, you got a lot of energy, you make a good point, but do you really want me to bring my family for the next 2 nights, starting at 6:30, for an hour, and they are going to go quick? Yes, I do. But priest, do you realize if I try to get my family to come to church again for another hour for the next 2 nights, that it'll be a fight? Yeah, I understand. But can I tell you something else? I don't care. Because there are some things worth fighting for. Like making sure you see that heaven is not only real, it is our calling. We have to realize that there are some things worth fighting for, including what is attacking us is evil. And let's not be blind, let's not be stupid or ignorant. Evil is real. And it is attacking our conscience, our souls. It's attacking our family. You can see in the news, evil is harming our children. Evil is attacking our country. Evil is harming Christians around the world. And why? Because good people like you and me are either afraid to fight, or we don't know how, or perhaps, as C.S. Lewis will tell us, we don't see evil in our midst. And I can tell you this, only when you start seeing God and taking God more seriously can we actually start seeing the devil, who wants nothing more than to be kept anonymous and hidden. Do you see the problem? We have got to engage in spiritual combat. And on Monday at 6:30, I'm going to teach you how to fight because I know how. Prior to the priesthood, I taught martial arts. I have 2 third-degree black belt instructorships. One is in Taekwondo, which is the Korean art of hand-feet method, which basically it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff. And the second is arnis, which is Filipino full-contact stick and knife fighting. So prior to the priesthood for fun, I beat people up with sticks. That's what I did. And I can tell you one important thing about fighting. Sometimes you gotta do it. And that's why on Monday at 6:30, we are going to engage in spiritual combat. And our instructor for that evening will be none other than her. Do you see her? Mary? Because she's more than just a statue in the corner of a church or beads that we don't even pray in our pocket. Do you know who she is? She's a warrior. Why? Because she's a woman. And by the way, she actually knows the definition of a woman. And therefore, she knows her potency, her potential as mother. And let's admit, in the animal kingdom, who's the most ferocious? A mother. Especially when a mother wants to feed her children. And Mother Church wants to feed us with food that you see as bread. But faith, if you look not only with the eyes of your heart, but with the eyes of God, you will see that this bread is the body, blood, soul, and divinity. Yes, I take this food very seriously as a priest ordained over 26 years, but I also take this food seriously as a professional chef. I'm the host and founder of an international faith and food movement called platinggrace.com. And in this movement, I try to bring families back around the dinner table because people of faith know that your dinner table is the domestic church's altar. Do you see that? Well, that's why you're here. And I have to be a good enough chef that I am actually the host of an international travel, faith, and food show called Savoring Our Faith on EWTN. Every Sunday at 4:30 Eastern, check your local listing. I have written several books, and some of them are bestsellers. I'm just saying that I even have an award-winning food truck and a restaurant in Baltimore, and I hire people coming out of the prison systems or disadvantaged communities, and I gotta tell you, it is hard to see God in people sometimes, but you gotta do it. And that's why it's a fight. And yes, I was even in a food fight. I was on the Food Network several years ago in a competition called Throwdown with Bobby Flay. And I beat him. And a lot of people ask, like, seriously, dude, how did you beat Bobby Flay? Well, I will tell you. On Monday at 6:30 p.m. See, what I did there was I just dangled a carrot in front of you to try to get you to come to the mission. Because I can see, as I am trying to get you to come, the devil is out there saying, don't go to a mission. You've never been the one before. You can deal without one. You will never become a saint. You will never be able to fight against evil. You don't need to know anything more about the Eucharist. Don't go to the mission. It will be boring. And I have got news for the devil. I'm not boring. Look at your kids right now. Just look at them. They're literally paying attention. So you cannot only bring them, you must bring them. Teenagers, I am going to turn you into a saint, which means less annoying to your parents and to yourselves. College kids who know everything but don't know what to major in. Come, I'm going to give you direction. Parents, it is your job to let your children see the face of God in you. I wrote a book for you about that. Come. You can even bring non-Catholics. There was a Protestant who said, I went to your mission, Father Leo, and you make me hate Catholics less. That is victory. Seniors, I get it. 6:30 is late. I get it. But please don't worry. Father Ralph is going to send Deacon Matthew to pick you up in the church bus, okay? If he had one, because do you know what his job is? Our job as shepherds is to help you to see God, but to also recognize that you're supposed to taste and see the goodness of the Lord. And that's why you're here. Because if you don't find God here, you're never going to understand what you're looking for in heaven. And as we're called to not only see God, we're supposed to look at yourselves and our world through God's eyes. That's why you're here. And God is happy to see you. But he will be looking for you again tonight and tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Now, brothers and sisters, I invite you to stand.